This is Khatt Chronicles, design stories from the Arab world, presented to you in collaboration with Africa.
Hello everyone, this is Khatt Chronicles. My name is Roshanak Keyghobadi, and today I have with me Iranian graphic designer and educator Ghazal Foroutan. Ghazal received her BFA in graphic design from Al-Zahra University in 2017 and worked for Studio Shizaru in Tehran for 2 years before moving to the United States in 2018. She received her MFA in graphic design from Oklahoma State University in 2021. Her thesis was a collection of visual explorations in response to Iranian women's rights. Ghazal's creative pursuits are characterized by a self-driven approach with a keen social political focus, especially advocating for design for good initiatives and women's rights. She founded her own studio practice called Pile, where she specializes in typography, illustration, and branding. Ghazal was recently awarded by Print Magazine as one of the new visual designers class of 2024, 15 artists under 30. She's currently an assistant professor of graphic design at California State University. Hi, Ghazal. I'm so glad that you're here. Would you please tell us, how did you become a designer?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. It's a beautiful morning, so yeah. So to answer your question, it's a long story. Do I start from the beginning? I was born and raised in Tehran, and I went to art school. So when it came to the time that you had to make the decision to pick your major in high school, and I was really good at math, and everyone was telling me you should become an engineer, you got to pursue math, you're good. But I know my parents really believed that I could be an artist. And my dad was an artist and designer himself, so he was always supportive in that way. That's when they sent me to school to go to an art school, and that's how it all started. I've been studying graphic design, I think, my whole life since high school. Learned a lot during my high school. Those were really some of the best years of my life. And I was focused on illustration and continued doing a specific technique that my father taught me, which was illustrations with watch collages, which kind of helped me win the Khwarazmi Awards during the last year of high school in Iran. That kind of led to the acceptance in Al-Zahra University for graphic design. And that time, once you win a Khwarazmi Award, you get to go to your choice of school without taking the entrance exam, which was a great privilege. And to this day, I'm thankful for what happened, because I know that that exam is really hard, and it's really one of the hardest years during your education. And yeah, I studied in Al-Zahra University for graphic design, but in studying graphic design in high school, they teach you so many things that once you go to graphic design undergrad program, you already have so many tools and so many skills under your belt that I feel like you're kind of ahead compared to people who are coming from different majors, like math, like science. So I feel like the first few years, there was a lot of practice for them to catch up to us. And then during my senior year, that was when I started working as a graphic designer for Studio Shizaru when I was a senior. And I was their youngest ever intern at first, because I was so persistent and I loved their work so much that finally got in. Worked there about 2 years. And I want to say it was one of the best experiences of my life. It was a school by itself. So I feel like, and that's what I tell my students, that I know we teach a lot of things to you guys and I try to cover a lot of things in class, but nothing's going to be training you like the real world and the real job. So it was a whole another school for me. I learned so much. It was an amazing experience, get to meet so many great people. I always knew that I wanted to pursue my education and continue my education. And I even got into a school in Iran for master's degree. But once I attended it for a semester, and then I realized I'm not really learning a lot. Some of the sessions were just me giving presentations to everyone. And I thought, okay, if I'm doing all the work and I'm not really learning anything, then I need to take the next step. Like I need to apply and go learn from the best. And that's when I started applying. I got into a few schools in the US at the time. And like one with 50% scholarship, one with like 30% scholarship, one with full scholarship. So I had a few different options, but as the dollar price was rising, me as a junior graphic designer, I wasn't making much, so I couldn't really go to expensive schools. Like I got to Boston University, but never got to go. That broke my heart, but it's expensive. Boston is expensive. I also got into Oklahoma State University, which offered a good program. It was all like I got a full TA. It was the perfect opportunity. And I also had an Iranian professor, Puya Jahanshai, who at the time, I didn't know that he was going to be like my professor at that program. But when I found out that he was, it was a relief. It was really nice to have someone there from home. So I packed and left Iran with a heavy heart. Like I left all my friends, family, loved ones, and it was one of the hardest things that I did. I feel like one of the most courageous things and hardest things, just to move across the world alone at 23, and went straight to Oklahoma. And I studied there for about 3 years, and for my MFA in graphic design. And at first, it was a shock. It was a big cultural shock. Like going to Oklahoma, I was like, this is not the America I was promised. This does not look like movies. But I got used to it finally. And I feel like the fact that there was not so much to do around our town or around our school kind of helped me focus more on studying. I learned so much about research. I know I was learning a lot about visuals and how to have a good taste and how to get to know myself, like what to love, what not. But I feel like the MFA program really kind of helped me dive into being more conceptual, thinking more about research, reading more, learning a lot more about history. I know like design history in Iran is absolutely different from design history we are taught here. And I'm glad I got to experience both sides because it's very interesting that what's been taught here is just so westernized. And it's all about the West. And we have like different eras for history, which I try to cover like a lot of classes as much as I could. But the history that we learn in Iran is absolutely different. But I'm glad I got to experience both anyways. So it really, really helped me like all those 3 years. Sometimes when I'm sitting and working, I feel like, oh my God, I wish I could go back to that 3 years of not having any responsibility, but studying and working, which was an absolute blast, I think. It was really hard. It was really, really hard, but it was, I loved it. I loved it. I think that MFA program really helped me get to know myself even more, know my morals, like know what I stand for, know what I care for. Why do I want to be a designer? What kind of work do I want to do? So a lot of those things that I found out about myself was during those 3 years. And after that, I've been teaching graphic design at Augusta University for a while, for 2 years. And at Chapman University in Orange, and now in San Marcos, like Cal State San Marcos. I also worked at an agency for a while, and I feel like for about 8-9 months, and I feel like that also really gave me a good perspective on how the work experience in America is and how different it is from what we did in Iran. So just to be able to experience both, see both sides and being able to compare it, pick the one approach or the one style that I like was a great experience. Yeah. And right now, but when I try to be brief, now that I'm thinking about it, but now that I'm more settled into my position here, I've finally shared my project, my passion project, which is Pila. I've been working on it for the past few years, but I never really had the courage to share it yet because, you feel like you're never ready or it's never perfect or am I there? What other people going to say? But I feel like at some point I was like, let's share it. What's the worst thing that can happen, right? So I shared it and I'm just working on small projects, like small passion projects that I'm doing on my own. I have clients that I love working with and really specific projects. I know all kinds of projects are not really a good fit for me, but thankfully I'm really lucky to have met some of the best people to be collaborating with and working with on different projects. And also my love for editorial and publication and books have been something that's been there for a really long time. So something that I'm really excited to do next is that, like right now I'm working on. So I'll share it anyways. So I finally got my risographs. I've been working with risograph printer for a while, and it's become a really great technique that I've come to love during the past few years. It was something that I wasn't really exposed to in Iran. I don't think it's really common there yet, but it was something that I found out about here. So I've been, I just got my new Rizzo for school. So I'm going to start publishing work and taking on some projects from Iranian designers to print and share at fairs. I have an LA book fair, LA zine fair coming up, and then we've got Print and Matter coming up. So yeah.
That is wonderful. Thanks for sharing all of those. Ghazal, any female designers have inspired or influenced your professional journey?
Like I mentioned, I feel like the history that I was taught in Iran is very different from the history that I was taught here. But they were something that they both had in common, that they were both very male dominated, both history sides. So I think growing up studying my undergrad in Iran, I've never had a role model and I was always looking for it. And I was always trying to find someone, okay, let's see who made it in this world. Let's find other women who made it, who did it, or not just white dudes, but who had the privilege to make it in this industry. And even in Iranian designers, like now, thankfully, to places like Khatt Chronicles or the Iranian women designers Instagram page, we know a lot of them with everything with you have done. So far, I know a lot of them, but really when I look back to the 20-year-old me who was looking for someone for a real role model, I was really having a hard time to find one. Even, I don't want to blame it on the education system, but I also want to blame it because I feel like really they could have done a much better job introducing us to creatives and even bringing some creatives to school to give talks to us or encourage us to go to places who they are there or we can meet people. So we were really isolated at school, just going to classes, coming back, same professor teaching everything. So that's why I was always seeking help, seeking more learning opportunities outside of school because I felt like I wasn't getting enough. And I think like the first woman designer that I saw that I met in person, who I loved working with, and I really loved her style, was Paulette Bahramanian, who was one of the founders of Studio Shizaru. So it was it was great working with her and learning from her during my time during those 2 years. And learning more again about a little bit more history, but not so much. I don't think it's history, but then I learned about Jessica Walsh, and I think she's always been one of my superstars. I know now like there might be a lot of different narratives going on, and we're trying to look for the always trying to look for the better role model. But I feel like she was one of the first people who stood out to me at such a young age that she became so successful and then working with Stefan Sagmeister. So once I found out about her, I was like, yes, that's it. I think she is like a real role model for me. And then I started getting to know all the other designers, women designers from all over. So then I started building up that role model list. But a lot of them I learned here, and that's a shame. Like I really wish that 20-year-old me could have known all of these things. With the internet, I feel like that like the younger generation now know more. But I want to say when we were 20, we didn't have the access that everyone has to the internet right now. So it was still a struggle.
That's a good point, yes. Do you think your gender, your education, or your work experience influenced your professional career and practice?
Yeah, for sure. Especially my gender, especially how I grew up and from my culture. During my MFA, as I mentioned, that I really, really dug deep to see what are the things that I stand for, what is it that I really care about, and what I really want to do. And that's when I found out about design activism and all the things that people are doing for the things that they care. And this was all before the Massamani revolution that happened. And when I was doing my thesis, I knew I wanted to do something about Iranian women's rights. It was always something, just I feel like growing up in Iran, it's inevitable. You can't ignore that your identity. You can't ignore how you grew up, the culture, the inequality, like all of those things. It's really undeniable. So I think that really, really shaped and directed where I want to take my design work. I always knew I wanted to bring more awareness to this, to Iranian women's rights, and equality, like always. Even I know, even if I'm living in the U.S. right now, and women are still here fighting for their rights, let alone Iran, and us as Iranian women. So I feel like definitely my gender played a huge role in what I want to do with my design work.
So, related to what you said, what was the most meaningful project you have worked on so far?
The most meaningful, I know I have that one project that really helped me grow, but just all the projects that I was working for my thesis, all of them are really near to my heart. I still to this day I share them everywhere. I'm still like selling the prints that I have from that exhibition. But I think the one that I did was for Mahsa's revolution, and it was not intentional. I didn't think it would be that big at first. I know during the first few days that it was happening, I came home from work one day and I opened Instagram. I saw everyone's doing some kind of work and putting some kind of work out. And I've always tried to respond to situations that were not pleasant to me or I stood for. Like I designed posters for Black Lives Matter when it was happening here. I designed a poster for when the plane in Iran crashed or got shot. But I was 1 hour away from that plane ride, so it hit hard because I was on another flight that flew 1 hour earlier, and I know all my family and friends were really worried about me because they didn't know which flight it was. So I did an Instagram post for that. And with Instagram being the most, I feel like, and it was before TikTok, right? So it was I feel like it's the most usable social media platform for us to share and be shared, and especially with our community. I feel like Instagram is the most is like the strongest platform. So I've been sharing all these kinds of posts or posters that I did always on Instagram. So I got home and I had this one book about design activism, and I was going through the book and I'm looking at it, going page to page. Okay, what have people done throughout history for things that they matter to them? And I got to the Rosie, the Riveter poster, and I saw a lot of different versions of it. And I was like, okay, this is it. I want to make one for us. And I'm going to go to school tomorrow, print it with a risograph, scan it, post it tomorrow night. That was the plan. And that's what I did. I drew it on iPad, brought it on Illustrator, worked on it, did a few versions. The day after, I was at school, Rizzo printing it, scanned it, came home, and I'm like, when I have a project in mind and when I want to do something, I get in that mode that I want to do everything like super fast, get it done, I have to share. And then I might even regret sometimes that I shared it so fast and I could have done better, all those questions that you always ask yourself. But I shared it at night. I shared it on my Instagram. I was like, okay, it's out of my system. I shared it. I really wanted to do this. And I went to bed. The day after, I woke up to thousands of messages, thousands of DMs coming through, asking for the PDF. Just let us print it. Is it okay if we print it? I want to do where's the higher quality? And I was like, I didn't expect this for this to happen like this. It was the first time that I was seeing that a design activism piece getting so much recognition, and everyone wanted to share it. So I immediately prepared a high quality PDF, shared it with everyone, put it on a link, shared the link everywhere. And I feel like at that point, I felt like design was kind of showing itself in another format, it was everyone getting together. It's not just designers who are following me or, my friends. It's everyone who, even people who do not know design, they just want to use the poster for, just putting it on the wall or, everyone wants to do all kinds of different things with it. And they're not all designers. And I feel like that's when really you can see the impact of design on culture, on people, and how it can really make a change, and it has throughout history. I think that's the work that I'm really, really most proud of. And just seeing how it, made a difference for me at least, and seeing it everywhere, seeing people use it in Switzerland, Turkey, France, UK, all across the US, Canada, Japan. I saw it everywhere. And I think it was a really surreal moment. And then getting recognized and then it ended up being in the permanent collection at the Vienna Museum, which that was, I think, the peak. That's when it hit that, okay, even if I'm gone, it's still gonna be there. And that's, I think that, I feel like that's the whole purpose of what I do or what I love. Yeah.
That is great. So that is the most recognizable work that you did so far. Now,
I think so, yeah.
what was the project that you most enjoyed? Was it the same project, or you have another dear project that you really love?
I think I enjoyed the process too, and it's I love it. I really do love that project, and I feel like, it's, I don't want to say it's a masterpiece because I know it's not. I know all like so many other talented people that they do amazing work. And it might not, I feel like when I think about it, every year when you're going through your old work, you're like, oh my God, I could have done better. Oh my God, like, did you see that work? Like, did I really share that? You're always trying to get better. You're always trying to change your work and evolve. And I think that's a good thing. And maybe I could have done better. Maybe it's not showing all my skills, but I don't think that's important. I feel like what it stands for and the message is so much more important than me showing off my skills. So I'm glad that it's something that I'm known for, or I'm glad that it was shared so many times. And it made it to permanent collections, and yeah, and I feel like that it has been so far one of the most enjoyable projects I've done.
Ghazal, can you walk us through your creative process when you start a project? How do you approach it?
Oh my God, I think I just shared one that was with the poster. That was just me going through the book. And so that was one of, like, a lot of the passion projects, honestly, start that way. It's just me. I know I wanted Brazil printed, so the technique is there. I know my color palette, so I'm already there. If I'm doing any passion projects, so obviously that way. And then just going through history, going through projects. What else can I do? What else can I share? I always start with a lot of research, and making like a huge, crazy board, either on Pinterest or just like dropping images on an Illustrator board, and then start sketching from there. I used to sketch a lot on my in my sketchbook, but I feel like nowadays it's just like, let's go straight to Illustrator, get it done. And I do a lot of sketches, and then at some point, I'm like, I gotta share it or I'm gonna ruin this. And then that's when I start printing and scanning and sharing. And the first platform I go to is Instagram. I know keeping up with your website is a pain. So I always share it on Instagram first, and then I go from there. But that's mostly for passion projects. I do client projects, which kind of it has the similar process. Just got to do a ton of research and then get to sketching. And sometimes I leave it for a few days so I don't fall in love with it too much. Go back to it and try to see it from a different perspective. Yeah, but I feel like I'm still learning. The creative process always changes. There are days that I don't want to touch my computer or don't do anything at all. So, and I just think that we all gotta learn to be kind to ourselves and let ourselves as creatives to have those days, and then on other days it will come. It eventually lets us get through.
What is it about your work that you find most difficult?
Oh my God, these days, I feel like it changes every time, but these days I feel like the balancing teaching, passion project, and client work is something that's been the most difficult during those past few months, I feel like, because I have to put different hats on during a day. Gotta be a good teacher. I gotta know, like, let me take all of these books to my class and show it all to my students and get them excited. And then when the class is over, and I'm like, okay, now I have to do prints. Let me put my other hat on and do some more prints. And then I have a meeting with the client. So I feel like that has been honestly the most difficult thing to do. Just trying to balance it all and wear those hats. But I also sometimes kind of let them cross over, because if I'm doing a client project that's exciting and I share it in a class with my students. Then I ask for their feedback, just to, like, guys, I'm working on this. Like, what do you think? Will you buy this? Or what do you think of the color? Like, which color are you guys voting for or picking? just to also, feel a little closer with them, share my project, get feedback from them, and just be open and sharing.
So, thinking ahead into the future, what will be important in design in the next 10 years, you think?
So, oh my God, I think about this. I think about this question all the time. Like, where are we going in 10 years' time? If I'm being optimistic and I'm thinking about the future in 10 years, I can think of three things that we really need to think about or care about. And one I think is adaptability. One is cultural depth, and another is responsible innovation. Just adaptability is for designers. We need to adapt the new technique. It's coming. AI is here. It's changing the pace of production. Um, when we create something, it needs to be intentional. It needs to be meaningful. It needs to flow in different platforms. It needs to be physical. It also needs to be digital. So it this adaptability, I think, is the first thing that's going to happen, and it's coming. We got to do it. We can't ignore it. Um, and with cultural depth, I feel people are craving stories, history, authenticity, um, and design that draws from personal and collective narratives will stand out. And we all got to be more aware of that. And the last thing is responsible innovation, which kind of goes back to AI again. I know that it will do a lot of work for us. I know it will make a lot of things easier. But also, we'll still need to see that, um, that human side of it behind it all. Yes, the machine is making it, but the thought, the intention, and the concept is all coming from a human, and we all need to make sure that the innovation is responsible. The best work in the next decade, I feel like, will come from studios and individuals that see design not just as a service, but as a way to shape culture in an intentional way. Um, yeah, we just gotta care more. It's not all about the money.
It's wonderful. Ghazal, what do you do for fun?
I I don't know. I feel like one of the things I love doing, and I'd say I do it for fun, is going to um thrift shops and vintage markets, just different flea markets every weekend, trying to look for treasures and collect things, um, find books that can inspire me. Or I found like these really old movable type the other day in a flea market, and I took it to my class, and I was like, guys, people don't know what they're selling. You gotta go to this flea market and buy these stuff. Um, so yeah, I'd say that's my number one fun. Yeah. I also I don't want to say watch, but I listen to a lot of films or shows while I work. So that's another fun thing. I don't know. Am I fun?
That sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Any final remarks before we say goodbye for those who are listening to us?
Well, I think I shared almost all of it, but I just feel like my last words would be I wish or I hope that we care more and we're more supportive of one another. Designers, women designers, all artists. I feel like I'm someone who wants to think of myself as someone who's really supported. So I'm always trying to help everyone. I'm always trying to be there or, support. And I hope we all do that and we're more open to being more supportive to each other. My Like my office door is always open to my students. My DMs are always open to people. So if anyone wants to talk, share anything, I'm always ready. Yeah, just trying to help. I think we all should be kinder to each other in this world.
I agree. That's wonderful. So I'm going to say goodbye to you. That was wonderful. Thanks for giving your time to me today. And I hope that we have more opportunities to have this kind of conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really nice to be here and talk to you. And yeah, I hope to talk to you more soon in the future.
Thank you for listening. This was Khatt Chronicles, Design Stories from the Arab World.